My name is Tom Chi. I spent 2 years of my life building the user experience team for the Google X division of Google. And it's a place I affectionately called the Department of Science Fiction because of the futuristic nature of the types of projects we took on. Self-driving cars, Google Glass, and other things that you'll see soon enough. So for those who haven't heard of this project, this is what Google Glass looks like. Now, I'm going to ask you a really simple question about Google Glass. How would you prototype this experience? How long do you think it would take you to make the first working version of a heads-up display? Okay, a little bit on the long side. The answer is 1 day. And here's what it looked like. So basically, the magic piece is the coat hanger. The coat hanger, I bent it in a specific shape, and the top loop goes around your neck, and then the bottom loop rests against your chest. And it allows me to carry a piece of plexiglass on which a little sheet protector. So these are the things that you put your book reports in so they don't get wet. I literally got it at the drugstore. Have it out at the end of the plexiglass, and then it gets projected onto with the Piker projector that's connected to a netbook. And using this setup, within 1 day, we were already able to start having the experience of what it looks like to have digital things overlaid on your physical world, be able to move around with it, and also use the netbook to try out tons and tons of different ideas around software. We thought for a second, well, maybe we could do something like what was shown in Minority Report. So for folks who haven't seen that, basically Tom Cruise is manipulating software with his hands in front of his face, and photos are flying over here, and his emails over here, and so on and so forth. So that's the same question again. How long do you think it would take to have the real experience of doing something like that? 2 years, okay. Somebody said 1 day. 45 minutes. So here's how it looks. So you wear the thing that we saw the first time because you need some way to go project things. But what happens is we got 2 hairbands, which I think was the hardest part. We had to go ask people for their hairbands. But you put one hand in each hairband, and attached to that hairband, we tied a fishing line. And the fishing line goes over the top of a whiteboard and then goes down to this little assembly that's taped to the floor. And what this means is every time I move my hand in any direction, it adds tension to the line. So how would you go figure out a way to go wear something like this comfortably? The answer is really basic materials. Modeling wire, paper, clay. And using something like this, I was able to make something that looked like a pair of glasses really quickly. I cut out pieces of clay that weighed exactly the same amount as the electronic components that we were talking about putting on the device. Wrapped it in paper so you didn't get clay on your face. And then taped it to the modeling wire in various places to go experiment with how a pair of glasses could fit on you. And we discovered something really important then. Like, if you look at this drawing on the bottom, it turns out that the weight of a pair of glasses is actually mostly perceived through how much weight is on your nose. And it also turns out that your ears can carry a lot more weight than your nose.
About ideas. When I talk to entrepreneurs, there is all this concern about, I don't want to share my ideas, I want people to sign NDAs. Ideas literally are worthless, in my opinion. And if you think they are worth something, find me somebody who's going to put money and pay for them. Made sense in those days. What if we could invent a technology, speech to text, that would actually allow people to bypass the keyboard altogether? 30 years ago, the technology was not there to make this easy and cheap. So it would have been a massive investment for IBM. So people looked at it and thought, I have a feeling that people ask for this, but maybe they don't really want it. Can we do a small experiment, a cheap experiment, to see if they really would buy this product? So they did something very clever. They brought the people that were telling them, of course we will buy this speech-to-text for $10,000 if you build them. They put them in a room with a microphone, a keyboard, and no keyboard and a screen. And so they thought that they had a speech-to-text translator. In reality, what they had a super typist hidden in another room. So to the user, to the potential buyer, they thought that they were testing something that was the perfect speech-to-text translator. Right? After people had the chance to use it or see other people using it, the results completely flipped. Most people thought, it sounded like a good idea, like Webvan. However, after using it, at the end of the day, my throat is sore. Can you imagine how noisy a cubicle situation is if everybody uses it? You cannot dictate confidential memo like, attack Iraq on a speech-to-text. So as it turns out, people told them, yeah, I'm sorry, I hope you haven't built too many of these, because actually we don't want them, right? It's easier to learn how to type. So very valuable lesson. I'll just give you one more example. This I like a lot. Most people here probably don't remember the Palm Pilot when it came out. But the person who created the Palm Pilot, Jeff Hawkins, before this, he had his own entrepreneur nightmare. He founded a company called Grid Computing, and they came up with this Grid Pad. It was supposed to be the first iPad-like device. Spent tens of millions of dollars, beautiful design. It worked very nice, but people just didn't buy it. It was the wrong form factor. It was what I call the wrong it. So he had his innovator's nightmare. So after licking his wounds, he had an idea for something much smaller, the Pilot. But this time he was wise enough, and he thought, all right, the last time I managed to whip myself and my investors up in a frenzy by telling them that if we build this device, they will buy. This time, let me make sure that I would actually use it. So he went into his garage. He got a little piece of wood, some paper sleeves, and a toothpick, and he went around pretending that he actually had built this. It was a completely non-functional model, and he would go around and pretend that it worked. Hi, can we meet tomorrow at noon? Yeah, play along. Yeah. OK, great. Can you give me your phone number so I record it? And I'll put it in the address book. So after 2 weeks of this pretending, he realized, you know, if this wasn't just a piece of wood, I would actually use this device. And by the way, if you remember this compared to the Newton, notice how little functionality it has. He just implemented the features that he knew would be needed. So these are this is what I describe as prototype. And if you are the kind of person that cares about splitting hair and the differences, here's the main difference between prototypes and pretotypes. Now, prototypes are very useful. It's something that actually you should build because you need to answer a question like, you know, can I build it? Will it work? How much battery will it use? However, all of those questions are academic if you cannot answer the first basic question is, does it make sense to build it? If I build it, would I actually use it? And the key advantage you get from prototyping is that you get to fail fast. About 2 years ago, I announced at Google I was going to give a first Android prototyping workshop, and every attendee was going to get an Android prototyping kit. So people thought they were going to get an Android phone. That's why the room was overflowing. And instead, I gave them the sticky notes and the words cheap as pen. So some people left the room. Some of them still don't talk to me to these days. But when I explained to them how to use it, they actually liked it. So the way that you would use it, if you have in mind a mobile app, remember what Jeff Hawkins did. Before you spend weeks or months programming, just put it on a little piece of paper or just put a sticker on your phone and see if you would actually use it. If you have a product or a startup in mind, these are just some of the techniques that you can use. One of them is called the Mechanical Turk prototypes. You're probably familiar with this example, right? That this thing called the Mechanical Turk. It looked as if it was playing chess automatically, but there was a little chess player inside moving the piece. So this is particularly useful every time you want to create a startup or actually a product that requires a lot of say, artificial intelligence or calculation or compute power. And these are all lessons that you can learn before building a $10 million AI backend. The Pinocchio prototype, every time there is a form factor issue, before you actually build the thing, try to build a version of it, even if it's not functional, and fill in the blanks with your imagination, pretending. Now we come to a real fun one. I didn't invent this name. The fake door was another entrepreneur. Fake door is pretty interesting. Essentially, you try to see if you can sell the product by doing things like putting ads and see if anybody clicks on them. Now, why do we prototype? Well, we prototype because data beats opinion. But at Google, at least, nothing succeeds like going with usage data. If I have a new idea for an app or a product, if I give the idea, I don't get much credibility. If I go and show, hey, I launched this to 1,000 Googlers last month, and now 4,000 people are using it regularly, you get a lot of credibility. Bottled water for pets. Now, how would a beverage company approach this? Since we're running a bit out of time, I'm going to shrink. I'm going to tell you. A beverage company, what they would do, they would bring a group like this in the room. Let's all pretend that you're pet owners. I create a focus group, right? And so you're all pet owners. Then I'm going to ask you, Hi, you drink bottled water? Do you feed your cat Fluffy bottled water? You're a very bad person, right? So they create they create this artificial environment where people will pretty much agree to anything because somebody came up with the idea and they want to reinforce that. And that's how you came up with some lame ideas like Pepsi Clear or Pepsi Clear is a good example, right? Remember Pepsi launched several years ago. It was just like Pepsi without any of the coloring or things. And of course, you have people in a focus group and you tell them, wouldn't you rather not eat 46 chemicals with every sip or Pepsi? And in a focus group, they would say, yes, of course. And then they go at the store and they don't pick it up. Sorry. However, if you want to maximize your chances for success, through Pretotyping, what you do is you try to match each of these with their more concrete counterpart. So your vision matches with reality, ideas with prototypes, opinions with data. What's more powerful for me to tell you, hey, I think that people will buy bottled water for pets, or to show you, hey, I put it in 5 different stores, and after 1 week, they sell 100 per week. So it's much better to sell with data than ideas. And when you have this, you have innovation and entrepreneurship that is more likely to succeed, and you will have fewer innovators. Nightmare. So this ends the talk, and my favorite part is the question. Thank you.